On this episode of Trend Chat, we talk about the tragic shooting that happened in Alexandria yesterday with the Representative Steve Scalise. And we talk with Rick Vasquez, former Assistant Bureau Chief at the ATF. And we also talk a little bit about some of the sports news with the finals and also an upcoming fight. And we talk a little bit about some movies and an event going on right now in Dallas with the Young Women's Leadership Summit. All that coming up on Trend Chat. Welcome to Trend Chat. I don't know if y'all heard that, but see, that's what happens when I do this live. See, every now and then you probably hear little glitches and something like that will come up. So I'm sitting here just to kind of take you behind the scenes of what just happened. I'm sitting here talking when I said everything about, what's coming up, and I totally forgot that I don't have my earphones on my head. So when I said the last thing and I was going to play the song, I'm not hearing anything, wondering why I can't hear nothing. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe if I had my headphones on, I could hear. And so I don't know how long a silence that was. I don't know if it was radio, they would be playing something like, oh, we're having technical difficulties. But yeah, sorry about that. I totally forgot to even put my earbuds in to hear the music playing. So all that out the way, this is Trend Chat. And if you want to connect with us on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, it's Trend Chat 24/7. Across the board. I also write for Politichicks.com. And if you like to read some of my articles, just go to Politichicks.com/author/Brian Bledsoe. And the new book by Politichicks is out on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, called Politichicks, A Clarion Call to Political Activism, which features one of my articles about becoming a delegate last year. It is out now. Go get it. And it has a vast array of articles from a number of contributors of Politichicks. So it's over 300 pages of articles dealing on different issues, whether it's education, healthcare, just social issues, politics in general, activism, hence the name, A Clarion Call to Political Activism. And actually, that's where my article is, in that section about activism. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure by now, here it is, 10 o'clock on Wednesday. And I'm pretty sure anyone who is listening here has heard about the shooting in Alexandria, which is for me is a place that I'm just now getting familiar with, because it's the only place in the DC area that I can park my truck whenever I make visits up there for various reasons. And so I don't know exactly where the park was where this happened, the baseball field, but in Alexandria, Virginia, like I said, that's a place where I park my truck from time to time. So, but like I said, I'm just not getting familiar with it, so I don't know all the area around. I just know the area around where the parking lot where I parked the truck. And like I said, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard about this shooting. If not, here's just a brief summary. Is you had congressmen, representatives, and senators out there practicing for the congressional baseball game, which was tonight, and someone came out there. Now we basically has found out it was politically motivated for the most part, just going from this shooters, from his social media, his Facebook page and whatnot. And matter of fact, Representative DeSantis from Florida has said that the shooter asked him who was out there in the field, was it Republicans or Democrats, and he said Republicans, and then he proceeded to go out and try to shoot as many people as possible and actually struck a couple of people, especially one in particular, Representative Steve Scalise, who is still as last time I checked, was in critical condition now and having multiple surgeries from that shooting. And also a number of other people were shot as well, but are improving. So all of that happened yesterday, and unfortunately, a lot of people in the media in general, for the most part, instantly try to make this into a gun control issue. And oh man, I wasn't thinking about this, but if anyone heard Governor Terry McAuliffe mention saying that 93 million people died a day from firearms, he corrected himself later on. I will give him credit, but it's funny to me that he said it like that, because to me, I felt like he knew the number was 93, but he wanted to inflate that number to so bad that he just went to the highest number he can think of. So he said 93 million, which is basically doesn't make sense if you thought it through. But someone like him that's for gun control and wanted to steer it that way was so eager to hype the number up as much as possible, just to create as much fear, basically, for people about guns. And I kind of get into this a little more with our interview with Rick Vasquez, so I'm not going to go on and on about it. But another thing I want to mention is that the shooter who died as well, and he died in surgery later on in the day, but it turns out he was a Bernie Sanders supporter and very much against President Trump and Republicans in general. One thing that's also kind of has come up now is because he was a Bernie Sanders supporter, that we kind of talk about the rhetoric from people from the left. And I'm not one of those people that's going to take it that far, because I know as a conservative too well that when you flip it around the other way, we know that we don't have other, like, whenever something happens, say for instance, or any sort of tragic shooting happens, and if just for just for an example, maybe they were listening to some conservative radio, and then they want to blame whoever that conservative talk show host is for inciting violence. And, we're quick to say, well, that's not the case, but that shooter should be responsible for the actions that he did. So in saying that, on our side, if that happens, I'm not going to flip around and say, just because he's been listening to Bernie Sanders and that, we should have some, like law against speaking as inflammatory as it is, or whatever, as far as anyone that's maybe speaking edgy language about either about anybody, whether it's Republican, Democrat, conservative, or liberal. But I'm not for any sort of censorship like that. That's the thing about having free speech. So, and I'm definitely not going to be in favor of trying to censor anybody either way, just because of a tragedy that has happened. That's not, it's times like these when you have a situation that really tests our resolve for freedom, because whenever you have a situation happen, it's real easy to make a knee-jerk reaction to, like, oh, we need to do this to keep us safe. Like, it's really tempting. It really is, because you're in the moment, and if it's happening to you, if you're not really grounded in your principles, you can just flip that off real fast and get all wound up into the moment, and just really, honestly, just thinking about yourself and not really thinking about the bigger picture of freedom and liberty. And, I'm pretty sure someone might say, that's kind of easy for you to say because it didn't happen to you. That's true. But I would hope that even if I would take something too far in my emotions about something, that someone would say that, like, okay, well, no, that's not right. And, let me know. But I would hope someone to say that, as opposed to just letting me just go on with my emotions just because I'm not thinking rationally about it at that moment. So, yeah. So, like I said, we talked more about not so much about the shooting in particular, but we also talked about the type of firearm that was used, because it came out that it was a SKS rifle, and it's, as someone that's not as knowledgeable about firearms, but as I've mentioned before, especially after going to the NRA annual meetings, that I'm looking to get more informed. And so like I said, we had Rick Vasquez to join us, and we'll get with him later on. So that being said, so on, what was that, Monday or Tuesday? Well, if you've been listening, when I talk about the NBA Finals, you notice I'm just not really as engaged in it. So I think it was Tuesday, but yeah. Oh, it was Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. So Golden State Warriors beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Unfortunately, they didn't have the clean sweep. They didn't have the perfect postseason because they lost on. Oh man, they lost on Friday, and so anyway, Golden State Warriors won, and it was 4-1. So, I saw the game. I was actually at Applebee's, so it was on. So I just watched it, and yeah, so I guess congratulations to them, and they just had the parade today. I did see that. Saw it on Twitter at least. And right now the biggest question, at least politically, about them is are they going to go to the White House if they're invited, or which at first I think someone posted a story saying that they have unanimously decided to not go to the White House. And then the team came out with a statement saying that that's not true. We haven't made a decision on going or not. And as of this moment, I haven't found any official statement from the team yet. But you're hearing from individual players kind of saying, well, I'm not interested in going and whatnot. It's just kind of seems like they're kind of beating around the bush. They kind of they don't really want to just say they're not going, which I'm thinking they're not going to go, and I wouldn't be surprised, and I honestly don't care if they don't go. Why would you want to go somewhere you don't want to go to? And whether it's the coach or Stephen Curry or a number of other players, they have made their voice known that they don't like Donald Trump, so they've already said that. So if you already know they don't want to go, then they ain't got to go. This is, for one, this ain't a summons. They're not being, dragged against their will. If they don't want to go, don't go. I was just thinking, is the whole team just not going to go? Because I'm thinking about maybe, like the owner might go, and maybe the coach and a couple of players, or just them. But I'm thinking it's the whole team just not going to go. And I was trying to look up the last team, or just at least the last NBA team that skipped the whole White House visit, meaning nobody went. And I didn't find anything just off my, basic research, which was basically typing in last team to not go to the White House on Google. But I'm pretty sure it's out there. I just probably missed it. And, I didn't care to put that much time into finding it. But, yeah, I won't be surprised they don't go. And personally, I can understand that actually, because I wouldn't wanted to go the past 8 years. If I had the opportunity, if someone asked me about going to the White House when Obama was there, I would not have cared to go. The only way I would go just for the experience of going to the White House, but that ain't enough if you're not going to pay for my travel and my accommodations for me to go there. If you're not going to pay for none of that, I still wouldn't want to go. Now, if you're going to pay for all that, then okay, yeah, sure, why not? I could take a day or half a day to go in and go out, and that's it. I'm just saying that if when Obama was there, I wouldn't care to go. I just don't. And so, and on the flip side of that, now you have these players, and they feel the same way. They, like I said, they made their voice known about it. Fine, whatever, don't go. So, and I was just thinking too that actually, who would have went in the NBA to the White House? Because if Cleveland would have won, they wouldn't. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have went. San Antonio, absolutely not. Then again, I'm also thinking about the Warriors too. Maybe they might go and try to make some sort of statement. They might try to throw a curveball at everybody. They're like, because everyone's just assuming that they're not going to go. And then the Warriors announce that, hey, we're going to go. And then they try to go there and I don't know, they try to do some sort of subliminal, try to be all subtle about their protest or something, take some sort of jab at President Trump while he's there, or anything, just try to make some sort of big lofty speech about, let's fight racism or whatever, and do something like that to try to make a point of the send a message or whatever. Maybe that might happen, but like I said, we haven't heard anything one way or another, an official word. So now also we have gotten word that this Money Mayweather and Conor McGregor fight is actually going to happen. A boxer is going to go against an MMA fighter. And it's actually going to happen. It's beneficial. It's going to happen August 26th in Las Vegas. I make sure to not be in Las Vegas that day. I mean, it's not like that I have to try hard, but I just make sure I'm not there that day. Funny, I actually thought about it for like 2 seconds. When I saw it, like, maybe I should go to Las Vegas on that day. And like the next second, no. And I don't normally want to go to Las Vegas on a regular day. Why would I want to go then? So, but yeah, so that's going to happen. And this ain't got, no disrespect to Conor McGregor. He is a great, he's a great fighter, MMA fighter. But in this case, we're talking about him going into a boxing ring. So it's basically, he would be an amateur boxer, basically, going against someone who has been boxing for pretty much his whole life. He's 40 now, so I know he's been boxing for at least over 20 years, and so I just don't see this. But hey, I don't know. I don't see this going Conor McGregor's way. I don't see him winning this fight, but as they say, the term is he has a boxer's chance. He has a puncher's chance of winning. So, but it also kind of reminds me of a movie. And I'm not saying that Conor McGregor is like the character in this movie, but just a lot of other factors of the movie. This movie called The Great White Hype. It was a funny movie, but this kind of reminds me of this in so many ways, because you have a black boxer going against an Irish boxer, and then also you're playing on the fact that black against white, and so they'll just the whole racial components and all that. So, but that was a comedy, and it kind of feels that way now. Depends on what happens in the fight. Because if you haven't seen The Great White Hype, and this is no spoiler. This movie was in like 96 or something like that. But Damon Wayans was I forgot his name in the movie, but he was a boxer in the movie, and then he knocked out the Irish guy who was Peter Berg. I know was the boxer because he's a director now, but it was one of his few acting roles, and and knocked him out like really quick. After hyping up this fight for all this time, and then that happened. So, it just like you having a black boxer versus an Irish fighter, and so that reminded me of the movie. Given the fact that I kind of like the movies, it's kind of funny. I know a lot of times some lines come in my head, but I find it's a funny movie to me in parts. There's some parts I don't care for, but yeah, that's what I was thinking about as far as this Mayweather McGregor fight coming up. And I remember I actually saw the Mayweather Pacquiao fight at a Dave and Buster's that was packed to the ceiling. I remember I couldn't even find a seat, but I was standing up, and I was just there for the last fight. I ain't watched none of the undercard. I actually wasn't even there for the whole fight itself. And I just walked around standing against the wall because that's all the space they had. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know where I'll be on August 26th. So I'm definitely not going to buy it. I won't be surprised the pay-per-view be like $100 this time. I don't know how much it was for the Mayweather Pacquiao, but it's probably going to be like somewhere up in the hundreds probably for this. And it's probably going to break records for all we know. Now if we were doing, I guess, video right now of the show, you will see I'm wearing a Socialism Sucks shirt from Turn the Point USA, which that is what I'm wearing right now. And I say that because Turn the Point is having an event that is actually going on now, started today, called the Young Women's Leadership Summit. And it has a great number of speakers. You actually had some that already spoke already. You had Ben Shapiro who spoke today. Tomi Lahren spoke earlier today. And tomorrow you have Carla Fiorina, Laura Trump, Kellyanne Conway will be speaking, and Laura Ingraham. And, I can go on and on. Friend of the show, Antonio Okafor, is actually hosting the whole summit. So, and yeah, it's a great event from an organization I really admire. I think they're doing great work. It's, especially engaging with high school and college students, and just showing them that free market principles, limited government, are the way to go. Especially when it comes to going to these college or high school campuses and just fighting the socialism that is rampant in all these areas of academia. And, like I said, I think they're doing a great job as far as getting out there, engaging with some of the students in the campuses, and just showing a different way that's definitely not being promoted at all in the college campuses, high school campuses. So so like I said, they're having their Young Women's Leadership Summit here until Sunday, and I will get there tomorrow, and we'll be covering it for Politichicks, and also looking to get some interviews for the podcast for next week. So hopefully we'll have a good number. Who knows? Depends on how many interviews we have. We might be doing a 5-day episode again, kind of like back in CPAC, or 3 or 4 days. Well, who knows? Just depends on how many interviews, how much time we have of the interviews as well. So actually, I'm in the preparation because there are, I think, maybe at least over 15 speakers. So I want to have more personalized questions for each one, as opposed to just asking a bunch of general questions like I've done at the NRA convention and CPAC. So I'm just kind of doing a little more research on the particular person and writing down. So if I get a chance to speak with them, I can get more, have a more of a personalized interview for that, that speaker. And so I'm kind of doing my little research now. I'm, I guess I'm doing journalism things. So, and so before we get to Rick Vasquez to talk more about the Virginia shooting, I just want to mention the Founding Project. Now, as much as I'm mentioning about the Founding Project, now I say go back and listen to 2 weeks ago when we talked to Maggie Dine with the Founding Project to talk about the organization and what they're doing, what they're planning on doing. And shortly, basically, they're bringing civics to citizens to talk about founding documents like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And if you want to know more, you can go to their Facebook page, The Founding Project. Search for The Founding Project and see if, and you'll find their Facebook page and Facebook group. And if you want to know even more, you can either check out the Facebook page or go to our interview with Maggie Dine 2 weeks ago, and where we talked with her for a little over 20 minutes about the Founding Project. So that's it about that. So now, to just make sure you were informed about the Founding Project. And I guess one other thing I do want to mention is Cars 3. The only reason I'm just going to mention that is because I do like watching Cars, even though it is an animated movie. But Cars 3 come out, and I'm pretty sure it's going to do well. Too bad the Mummy didn't do well at all. I saw the Mummy. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know what the reviews were saying about it not having the humor that the ones back in the 15 years ago were made. I thought it was pretty good, but unfortunately it didn't do well with the critics as well as the public. So I don't know what that means for the whole dark universe they're looking to do with that. So anyway, that's that with the movies. So like I said, we spoke with Rick Vasquez, and we talked more about the firearm that was used. And here is our interview with Rick Vasquez.
Hello, this is Trent Chat. I'm your host, Brian Bledsoe, and we are pleased to have the former Assistant Branch Chief at ATF Firearms Technology Branch, Rick Vasquez. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
If anyone haven't already heard about the shooting that happened in Alexandria yesterday, and a number of representatives out there, and senators out there, I would say a mentally deranged man come out there and open fire. All the media, all the news stories been out about it, and one of the things that has been focused on, especially, is the type of rifle that was used, or just type of firearm. And I just found out that there was a particular rifle that I haven't heard of, but I don't know if people in our audience maybe knows, but tell us about the rifle in general.
Well, it's an SKS, and as I said, I'm going to send you a flyer by email that shows you all the description and the complete name spelled out. And it was developed prior to the AK-47, and it's a semi-automatic, and it doesn't have a magazine, and it's fed from the top. You use a stripper clip, just like the old M1 Garand. And it was replaced early on in its career by the AK. So the majority of the service it saw was, with the peasants in Vietnam and some of these conflicts around the world where it was being given as a surplus firearm. And it's made by several different countries to include Albania, Yugoslavia, China, and Romania. And it's now imported into the United States in a category called surplus military hero and relic firearm. So I use the term obsolete because it is not used by any regular military forces today. So it comes into the country kind of as a collector rifle, an entry-level rifle, shoots the same caliber as the as the AK, which is 7.62 by 39 millimeter caliber. So it is a good cartridge that the firearm is using. It's allowed to come in with a bayonet lug and flash suppressor, and it is not an assault weapon. That's what a lot of people want to keep calling it, an assault weapon. It is just a semi-automatic military-type firearm. Now, I said it only takes a 10-round magazine internally. Of course, when it gets to the United States, we are the United States, and somebody has found a way to modify it. So you can buy an aftermarket magazine that will replace the factory magazine and allow it to take a 30-round magazine. So that's kind of it in a quick overview of the firearm.
Okay. And now, I know you mentioned as far as, I guess, the term that's always being used, especially in the media, is about assault rifle. Now, I was told that as far as that term, that is not a correct term in the first place, right?
That is correct. There was a law in the United States that ran from 2004 to 2010 where certain firearms were designated as an assault rifle. And the SKS was not even one of those when that law was in place. And in 2010, there was called a sunset provision in the assault weapon ban. And in 2010, that ban disappeared. So under federal guidelines, there is no such thing as an assault weapon. Now, there are many states that have implemented their own assault weapon ban, and people in the firearms community refer to those as the communist states, and that's just a fun. We're talking about California, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, and New York, to name the majority of them. And they have developed their own assault weapon ban and created features similar, if not more rigorous, than the original federal assault weapon ban to prohibit ownership of certain firearms. The SKS in its original form is not even considered an assault weapon under California state law.
Wow, and California is like one of the most strict gun control states of all of them, right?
Yes, correct. And because in its original form, it does not have a detachable magazine, and it only accepts 10 rounds. Now, I know there's been a new change in 2017, so by some reason that may fall into the California ban, but as I've heard recently, I'm not sure that it does.
I know there was also another shooting in California as well at the UPS facility, and I know from what I've been reading on some of the media reports that they were using the term assault pistol as well. And so as far as what you were saying as far as assault rifle, now they're trying to use the term assault pistols. It was just something that kind of like, okay, they're just trying to put assault to any gun at this point, basically. But
well, California, as I told you earlier, does have a state assault weapon criteria. So not knowing what the handgun is yet, that handgun may fit their state weapon criteria to be considered an assault weapon. But there is no such thing as a federal classification of assault weapon anymore.
Yeah, and at this point, it's pretty much just trying to condition people to for me, it just seems like they're trying to condition people to just be afraid of guns by just putting the word assault in it, even though, as you just mentioned, that that's not a correct term anymore. So
you're exactly right. The media is always trying to mislead the public and sway them to their ideology. And the ideology in the media right now is the attempt to ban firearms. So if I call something a scary term like assault weapon, then that gives more impetus to the congressmen and senators to find some type of way to restrict firearms ownership.
Yeah. And, and going back to what happened in Virginia, another thing I was thinking about as far as natural reciprocity, and in this case in particular, because you have, the congressmen, representatives, and senators, they work in D.C., and obviously their laws are basically just pretty much like California. It's not stricter. But then you go into Virginia and Maryland, given if you work in D.C., you're pretty much going to go around those two states for the most part. And if you don't have natural reciprocity, that causes a major problem if you're, trying to carry. I mean, am I correct in that?
Well, national reciprocity, if it was ever passed, which I personally don't think it will, for the simple reason that states have the right to set certain standards. But even if you had it, these congressmen, D.C. would not be in there. D.C. has their own laws. Now, you can get a concealed carry in D.C., but it's a long, drawn-out process that they've developed to make it prohibitive and restrictive. But I'm sure any of those congressmen could get a concealed carry in D.C. if they wanted to. I'm sure they could expedite the process on their behalf. But on the other hand, I personally think that maybe they should hire somebody, I don't want to use the term bodyguard, but a person that'll keep an eye on them, a driver that keeps them secure, doesn't even have to have a firearm, that stays alert, because these guys are always on the go, and even if they had a gun, who's going to give them the adequate training to engage an adversary? So I think a better answer, because some of those congressmen, I sure don't want Senator Schumer to have a firearm. Who knows? He might just kill Republicans just for the hell of it. But I think they should go to the point of of hiring somebody to assist them, especially when they're in a group setting. Somebody to look out for their safety.
Well, yeah. I mean, even if it's just people on their staff to have the right to carry it themselves. So I was
Absolutely.
I was just thinking about that because I know one thing out of this, what happened yesterday, is that if you didn't have people in leadership at the field at that time, there would be no security because the only reason they were there. So that's what I was thinking about as far as having at least somebody else to be able to have to carry. And
that's a perfect example of what I was saying. If those Capitol Police guys had not been there, Lord knows what this guy would have done. But they just can't always be there. They were in the local area, so they traveled with them.
Yeah.
So these guys travel everywhere, to and from their apartment. And that's why I said, instead of trying to get them trained up to defend themselves, they give them a stipend or allow them to hire someone that will, like I said, I don't want to use the term bodyguard, an assistant, a security assistant, or something in that nature.
Yeah. I don't know, just this whole tragic incident that has happened now, it just basically, to me, unfortunately, the media is making it a gun control issue, but really it's a self-defense issue because you're sitting there out here in an open field or just anywhere, and you're just basically at the shooter's will, and that's a lot of times what happens. And we all should have the right to defend ourselves. So that's kind of one thing that I'm thinking about when I heard about this incident that happened yesterday.
And that's a good point. But hey, I really appreciate your questions. I'm going to have to sign off now. I'm going to send you that information on the SKS, and hopefully we'll stay in touch in the future.
All right. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
All right. You have a good evening.
And thanks to Rick for joining us. And yeah, so it's that definitely was something that has been stuck in my mind as far as just everyone just basically having the basic right to defend ourselves. And we have so many people in the media that are out there to just fighting against our basic rights, and it can be maddening sometimes. But so anyway, that's it for this week. And like I said, hopefully I will have some interviews from the Young Women's Leadership Summit. And until next week, we will chat with you later.